Hey everyone, so this video is a first for me. I'm going to be sharing the curriculum that I got for homeschooling this upcoming year. I know homeschooling is a really big deal right now. We actually made the decision to homeschool, I want to say it was like November. It might have been October of last year before all the craziness hit. I knew that after Killian was born, I would not be working. And I really wanted to try my hand at homeschooling. But our intention had been to wait until the school year was over. We were going to let the kids, Matson was in kindergarten, Amity was in pre-K, finish out the school year, have their little graduations, and then that would give me time, because we also knew I would be having a C-section, to recover. And of course, you know, those first few months with the newborn, it's like you're a sleep deprived zombie, and I didn't want to have to be trying to homeschool for the first time during that. So our initial plan was to let them finish out this year, and then they would not be turning, and I would pick up homeschooling next year, so for the 2020-2021 school year. However, because of the COVID things, we kind of got thrust into it early. So I actually started in April, I believe, because they had their spring break in March. So 1 week turned into a 2-week spring break, and then we kind of realized that they most likely would not be going back. So we went ahead and officially pulled them, and I took over, and I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And I'm so excited to start this new year. I did, however, I made a newbie mistake. So when we pulled them out, well, when we first decided that I would be homeschooling, I immediately got on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, resale curriculum groups, because our plan was to just use Rebecca. That's what they were using in the school. That's what I knew about. That's what I was familiar with, and we were just going to keep using that. So I bought everything I could used. The only thing I bought new were consumables. And so I was set for next year. Amity was going to do kindergarten. Matson was going to do first grade. But then I joined some homeschool groups, and I realized that there was a whole world of curriculum out there that I had never heard of. And so I started doing some research, and honestly, if I hadn't already bought this for next year, I'm not 100% positive I would have went with Rebecca. Several others have really caught my eye, but I've already bought it. I've already paid for it. You can see behind me, like, all the little flashcards and stuff I've invested in. So at least for this next year, they will, at least for language and math, they will do Rebecca. Well, Matson will do Rebecca. Amity, she was in K4. She was supposed to be going into K5. So when we officially pulled them from the school, because we had paid a book fee at the beginning of the year to buy all their books, I was able to get all their books and bring them home. Amity, she was not where she was, I don't want to say supposed to be, because she's so little. I mean, she's only 4, but she was not where her seat work expected her to be, I guess. Or the curriculum expected her to be by that point, because they were almost through with the year. So through many tears and frustrations, I decided that I was not going to put her in K5 for this upcoming year. I don't think she's ready, and I think it would be a detriment, honestly, and probably make things worse, because I noticed, you know, after a lot of fights and tears and frustrations on my part and her part, that she was fighting me every step of the way. And so I just put it all up. And I would only get things out if she asked. Some days she would ask. She would ask to do school, especially when she saw her brother working. Other days she didn't want to, and that was fine. And so that's kind of my approach next year, is just do an unofficial year of K4. Let her play. She'll be 5 in June, on June 27th. I plan to start back in July if I don't cave and do it sooner, because I am really excited to start. And, you know, we may get through Christmas and she may decide that, you know, I may feel that she's ready to begin then. That's one of the beauties of homeschool. I can go at the pace that I feel my children are setting. If not, we'll start her next year when she turns 6. We redshirted Matson, waited till he was 6 to start, and he has thrived. So I do have her just a couple things. These were picked up at yard sales and things like that, Goodwill. They were brand new, but just this learn to letter, and it's pre-K to first grade, so it's print, but like the pages, she's already written in it some, but so it's just, you know, for her to be working on her handwriting if she wants to. And then I just have a couple of workbooks ready to read, pre-K through first, and then preschool, everything for early learning. So just on the days that she wants something to do like this, she wants to sit down with seat work, you know, I'll just pull her a page or two and let her work on that. And if she doesn't, no big deal. I'm not going to stress about it this year. I feel like just giving her another year just to be a little kid and play and learn through play would be the best thing for her at the moment. So now that being said, I do read to her a lot, and she will be joining me and Matson for our set down reading. And then some of the stuff like in science, if she wants to do it, that's fine. You know, I'm definitely not going to discourage her, but I'm not going to push her. So with Matson, excuse me. So for language, I did decide to go with Abeka, and it is so much. I am so overwhelmed with his this year. So first off, we have letters and sounds. So this is his phonics workbook. And so as you can see, Abeka starts cursive extremely early, and he is begging to learn it. So I did get him the cursive instead of the print handwriting, but each day he has 2 pages to do, and it's very colorful. I like the colorful pictures. And I also got this language one, seat work, grammar, creative writing, reading comprehension. I don't know if I would purchase this if I were to go back. I basically just tried, I got on the website and I looked at the student kits and tried to get just everything that was included. But I tried to piece it together. That way I could buy like used teacher, use lesson plans, use flashcards, that kind of thing. I did get all the consumables new. It's just, it doesn't look it's not as complicated as this, and it may be good for like some extra practice. So like there's writing numbers and things like that, you know, just some extra reading, that kind of thing. But a lot of it, I think, is just busy work. So I don't know how much of this I will use, because he already has so much writing in here. And so then to add this on top of it, plus he has spelling and poetry this year. So again, a lot of writing. And that is something that we did struggle with was his handwriting. He didn't like to write. So, but he has asked for the cursive. So I'm hoping that since it's something he's wanting to do, it won't be as much of a fight this year. And then here's the writing with phonics cursive. And this accelerates really fast. So, you know, they start out like they just start out with an E, and then by like lesson 7, I think. Yeah, so like lesson 7, they're writing short words, and then by lesson so then by lesson 12 they're writing sentences, and then in the back, and then the copy work of course gets more complicated. And then in the back they also have a creative writing section. So it's like write a story about George Washington, write a story about Abraham Lincoln, George Washington Carver. So that is the, I guess, worksheet portion of language. And then on top of that, he has all of these readers. So it is a lot. Like, it is so much for language. But so many people have done good reviews on the Abeka Phonics program and how it just creates really strong readers for life. So he's also doing Abeka Math, and so a lot of colors. And Abeka is advanced, so I know that you know, he'll be adding and subtracting double digits. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that multiplication is introduced at some point. I don't know where, but I want to say flipping through it that multiplication was, you know, introduced at some point. And then here you have like place value. So it is very advanced, but this is something that with the K5 he flew through. I would introduce a concept once and it's like he got it and he flew with it. Very rarely did I have to go over things more than once. I also got the test for the letters and sound, and I got the test and speed drills for the math. Again, I don't know how much I'll use this. I may give him a test. I mean, I'm sure I'll test him because I want to know what he's retaining in these two subjects anyway. But the speed drills, I don't know. I may try it a couple times, but he gets really stressed out if he feels like he's timed. So I don't know about that. So it is overwhelming. I would lie if I were to say that I was not overwhelmed with maths and stuff. This was the kindergarten lesson plans that I used, and this was everything. This was his numbers, his letters, his phonics, his readers, his think and learn. Everything was in this curriculum, or for this lesson guide for kindergarten, for first grade. This alone is the lesson guide for just language arts. And then you have the lesson plans for math and the lesson plans for history, science, health, all the other stuff. So huge difference. but I've looked through it, and I honestly feel like it's just going to take a while to get into the groove of things, just like it did this past year when I started homeschooling them. It just took me a week or so to just find my groove, and then once I found my groove, we just ran with it. So for history and geography, science and health, I bought these used, super inexpensive. So health, safety, and manners, I'm probably just going to use this book, and we'll read it together. Science, this is the Abeka one, and like, I liked it, but Matson is extremely curious about everything. He wants to know how everything works, and I love that about him. So I just didn't feel like this would be enough. So for the other subjects, I decided that I wanted to try to take more of a Charlotte Mason approach, because the language arts and math is so intense and so traditional. I wanted something a little different from that for history, geography, and science. So I bought the Sassafras Science Adventures from Elemental Science. This can be a 5-day or a 2-day unit, and if you follow and I think the 2-day schedule, you would do 2 of these a year if you just did science twice a week. So what this is actually kind of a novel. So it's written as a novel, and it's about the Sassafras twins, Blaine and Tracy, and they have failed their science class. So they're sent to visit their mad scientist uncle, and they're magically transported to different parts of the world, and they learn about different things. So in this one, it's zoology. So they're going to be transported to different parts of the world and learn about different types of animals. It has pictures, some pictures. So I love the idea of this. I'm not sure how much of it my kids will comprehend, because some of the language is pretty scientific, but I wanted to give it a try. It was pretty inexpensive. I got this at a local store. It was 20% off, so it was like $12 and something. So to go along with this, I got on the Elemental Science website, and I bought this ebook. It's the Lap Booking Through Zoology with the Sassafras Twins. Now, this has lesson plans, experiments, and here you track what you learn through lap books, which I've never done before, so that will be interesting. They had a different option where you could do a logbook, and it had a different lesson plan and schedule. But the logbook, for me, I liked the logbook better because it was more writing. But my Matson is already going to be doing so much handwriting and this other stuff that I didn't want him to have pages to do in his logbook. So I went with this option. So it has, and I've printed it out. So it has your schedule, you know, lesson 1, your experiments, and then it has the lap booking. So, you know, so it's like the grasslands, location, the deserts, the animals, things like that. So that'll be interesting for us to do together. It's a little crafty, you know, it'll give him a chance to color. They also had, you could buy like the PDF version of the coloring book, but I thought I would just, you know, get some free printables if I wanted to do that for Amity. So this is our science that we may end up using this, we may not. I don't know for sure, if my kids love this and we finish this super early, we may go back and do this. You know, there may be days that we don't necessarily want to do the lap booking, so we just may read a section in here. This, we're just going to kind of play it by ear. So then we also, for history, My America, My World, History and Geography Reader. This just is super simple. You know, the bald eagle, and it has this little paragraph. The Liberty Bell, and it has this little paragraph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use this as a guide, but then I intend to use our local library and utilize what they have and try to come up with some books, some picture books, some little readers, things that go more in depth. Like, so here I have George Washington, you know, so I've already looked at my library and they have the book, Who Was George Washington? So I want to try that. And then, you know, Fort McHenry. So here you have Fort McHenry, and it says, now we go to Baltimore, Maryland. Here we stop at star-shaped Fort McHenry. It was here that Francis Scott Key wrote the words to our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. And then that's it. And then it moves on. But we actually have this book, Francis Scott Key's Star-Spangled Banner. And it actually gives the story and goes into more detail behind the national anthem. So that's just kind of what I want to do, is I want to pick and choose different things that I feel like my kids would be interested in, and then try to find, you know, and this isn't long, so a book like this to kind of go more in depth, because I know if I just read that, they'll forget it as soon as I'm done. And then several places are offering free PDF downloads of samples of stuff. So I'm really tempted to do The Good and the Beautiful's Marine Biology. It's currently a free PDF download to print it off and maybe test it out for science too. If my kids don't like the sassafras adventures, or if we finish early, I don't know. I looked at it and I even considered doing that instead of the other one, but I'm afraid it may be just a little too advanced, so I don't know. But My Father's World offered a couple free downloads as well. So one was Brazil, and so this is an activity pack for 1st through 8th grade. I went ahead and printed it off. I don't know if we'll get to it, but it might be something fun for us to do. So, I don't have a colored printer, so, but a lot of this stuff was in color and would probably be a lot more. But it's just fascinating facts, you know, a crossword, you know, there's pages they could color, people from there, you know, locating it on a map, that kind of thing. So, we may get to this year, we may not. And then they also had, and this is for preschool or kindergarten, the 10 Commandment activity pack. So I thought this would be something that Amity would really enjoy. Matson may enjoy it. She's a lot more crafty than he is. He's not big. He likes to draw, but he's not big into coloring or anything like that. But I thought I would at least do it with Amity. So day 1, day 2. It's supposed to be 5 days and you do 2 a day, but I may stretch it out to 1 a day for art and craft time. But it just has things you know, the 10 Commandments you cut out and different things for the kids to do. So I don't know, I thought that would be a nice way to kind of get a feel for this particular curriculum, see if I like it, and if I don't, you know, I didn't waste any money, it was free. So I also picked up from Mardell, which is where I got the Sassafras Adventures. These little totes, they had them on clearance, and I bought all they had left. So and I just kind of printed off some labels to go on my little homeschooling bookshelf back here. So I have, you know, puzzles, builders, history, geography, science, arts and crafts. That way when I need something that when I read my lesson plans and I see that something's coming up that we need supplies for, I can stick them in the tote at the beginning of the week. And then when we get to it, all I have to do is pull the tote out, and I don't have to worry about, you know, digging stuff up or keeping up with stuff. So in this one, I also picked these up from Mardell. They're called Scrunch Maps. So Matson is very intrigued with maps. Every time he passes one, he wants to know where we are. And since we do have a little bit of geography in this book, and if we do get to the Brazil, I figured that these would just be fun to have for him. Well, for both of them, you know, and then they can get these out. They can find, you know, this is a map of the United States, but this is a little map. So he can get this out, you know, and he can find Brazil. And they're tear-proof, waterproof. So they're just like this really thin plastic. So I don't have to worry about, you know, him being rough, which he is. And then when you're done with them, you just scrunch them up. It comes with a little bag. So, you know, when we use them, and then when we're done with them, we can just scrunch them up, put them in their little bag, and then just throw them in their tote until the next time we need them. So there's that. And then the last thing I wanted to share is something that I've been doing for our break and will continue to do once school starts, and that's just kind of the whole morning basket idea. So basically there's things that stay in this basket. So I do our little daily 1-page devotion. It's super simple because they don't have long attention spans. I also have this one that I really like, and I do this occasionally, but this is a lot longer. So I kind of judge, you know, I can kind of tell by their moods if they're going to sit through that or not. And then I also have the Bible stories, so that I sometimes will read. And so there's that. And then they have some Bible. And those 3 things just stay in here. The other things kind of get mixed in, and I move them around and take stuff out and put things in. So, but those are, I kind of consider their Bible class along with their verses they memorize for Bible quizzing. But then, so I picked up some activity books. So sometimes activity books go in there. So this is Joseph and his coat of many colors, and it comes with stickers, and there's pages you color, you know, mazes you solve, that kind of thing. And then David and Goliath. So those, I try to have a couple of activity books. Sometimes I'll throw a game in here. So this is the Smart Game, and I do have the bigger edition of that. Here's this really fun Bigfoot book. So just Bigfoot's Adventures. You know, and of course this is way too advanced for their reading, but they like to look at the pictures, you know, and they like to find the things. And I will sometimes read to them. Well, I read to them a lot, but sometimes I'll read to them out of this. I try to include some books for Matson to practice his reading during the summer. Of course, when school starts, he'll have his reader, but I want him to read things that he enjoys as well. So I try to keep some of these step into readings in here. Right now, he just finished the Transformer one. So right now we're doing the Frozen, because I also try to encourage him to read to his little sister and his little brother. So, and this has 5 books in it, I believe. So then you have God, Made by God, which is animals, and Joseph the Dreamer. And then I try to put some books in there for Amity for me to read aloud to her. She is still very much into the pictures. She cares more about the pictures than she does about the story. So I try to include books that, you know, have really fun, bright pictures that'll keep her interest. And then lastly, some chapter books. Sometimes it's things, sometimes I'll include one that I want to read, like The Magic Tree House. I'm trying to go through that series right now, but we just finished The Night at Dawn, I think, so I need to get another one to put in here. But then Matson loves chapter books. Dogman, Captain Underpants. He has recently discovered Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which really surprises me. I would think this would be a little advanced for him. And I think there's some things he doesn't really understand because this is set more in middle school. But he thinks it's funny. He loves the drawings. So he will beg me to read and read and read and read. So I'll read until my throat starts hurting. So after school starts, I still intend to do this because it's just, to me, it's a fun way to get our morning going, to get, you know, kind of the sleepies out of our eyes before we jump into our formal learning, so to speak. So, and I know myself, and I know that I will change the way I do things probably 10 times before the year's up, and I'll try things that I've bought and not like it or find that they don't work, or I'll buy new things that I want to try. I'm going to try not to, but I'm probably not done. But I am excited. I'm a little nervous because I have spent, you know, quite a bit of money on this, but it is kind of intimidating to think that I've bought this stuff and it doesn't work for our family. But I also know that this is something that's just trial and error. You know, I have very little way of knowing what's going to work and what's going to click before I try it, like with most things. So anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Hopefully I can do either later on in the school year, it might be the end of the school year, but an update of what's working for us, what's not, what I've changed, what stayed the same, that kind of thing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.